So leading up to that star attempt on Highway 200, I spent the afternoon and evening driving, shooting dirt roads, sunset, railroad tracks, some more roads, and then I got on that dirt road for 30 miles, and it got pretty narrow in spots where the weeds were bumping the bottom of my car. And then I got out to the Highway 200 and set up the cameras like you saw, and I was trying to block the flare and the headlights from the cars, and it caused a lot of gaps in my stars, my trails, so I couldn't use that set. So all these pictures weren't any good until I got down to where the lightning came in, and then I got some pretty good shots, and certain elements of each one I use, and I'll take some pieces and put them together in Photoshop. But for star trails, you would take the picture into develop, increase the exposure a little bit to bring out more of the stars, and then bump up the black level to get rid of some of the noise, mostly red, and that'll give you good strong stars. And you do that for the first one. You select all of them, synchronize the settings, and apply that increase to each frame, and that'll give you consistent star trails. And while they're still selected, you export them to your desktop in a JPEG format, where I use long side of 2000. It gives me a good file size for loading 200 tabs into Photoshop to layer them together and blend to make the star trails. So we'll take the completed composite into Photoshop. So here's my favorite picture from the lightning series, and I wanted to increase the clouds in the sky and put in the other pieces of lightning that projected right in this area. So I opened each file into Photoshop, copied the pieces that I want. So the second layer brought in this piece of the giant cloud, and it worked the color a little bit, so it went from darker purple to more blue. And then I needed to enhance this part of the cloud, so I brought in this layer. It's another picture, boosted up the brightness in the center, and then I only needed a little piece of the lightning down in this area with this curtain. Otherwise it would have created too much noise in the rest of the frame, so I just took this little piece of it and put that in. And then there were two other frames that had good bolts in them, so I added those to this part. And there were two purple, so I kept this layer in to disguise them. And then I added a sharpening layer to boost up the edges. And I needed to darken down the entire scene, so I put on a curve, brings the level down. And then I wanted to add the star trails that I took the other night to the top of the frame where there was not much in the sky, so I layered that in. That was done by taking 136 of the stars that I shot at the rest stop, resized them to cut down just for the trails themselves, turned them black and white in Lightroom, loaded them all into Photoshop, and they created layers. Then I blended each layer onto the background layer using an action that you take each tab, copy the contents of the next tab, paste it over the background layer, blend it to lighten, close this tab, and then that ends that action. And I made 30 copies of that, so I can highlight how many I need to do and run just that number, or I created an action that performs those 32 layers, 31 layers at a time. So I can just run that with F3 and do 200 stars with 6 presses of that, and then make up however many are left. So in this case with 136, it went pretty fast. Here's the end result, and you can see it in my final project. So I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration, and signing off.